Hey everybody, we're here at the permaculture farm. We're going to interview Jim Gale today and his corporate escape. He is doing food forest abundance, and we just have to get into this gate right here to get onto the farm. We're here in St. Cloud, Florida, where we're driving to, there's Heidi. We're driving to Jim Gale's Food Forest Abundance homestead, and we are going to do a tour of his Food Forest Abundance homestead while we do the podcast. So we will be investigating his permaculture food forest. You'll learn all about that and his escape as we do this podcast. Most of you don't know, and Jim doesn't know either, because this will be our very first time having met him, that I have my permaculture design certification, although it's been like over 20 years since I got mine, and I haven't done a whole lot with it. So I know a little bit about the concept of permaculture, but we'll let Jim explain some of that to you all. All right, we finally made it through the gate and found the right location here, and we're here with Jim Gale. So Jim, if you want to just do a quick introduction to yourself and where we are.
Okay, so my name is Jim Gale, and we are in St. Cloud, Florida at Galt's Landing. It's Galts after John Galt from Atlas Shrugged. And we are completely off-grid, demonstrating freedom on every conceivable level.
I love that. That's amazing. So we're going to talk to Jim about his escape from corporate America, because I know you were doing some things with loans and other things. You went to Costa Rica, and now you've got this off-grid property here in Florida, and he has 100% escaped. Yeah. And I love the story. So why don't you start out telling a little bit about your story, and then show us around this place you've got here.
Okay, little bit. In 2007, I woke up to what was happening in the world. I red-pilled. And I also had my first two daughters, and I learned permaculture all at the same time. And I went through a couple years of real struggle, because as I studied what was happening, the use of poisons and control mechanisms for our society, and worried about my daughters. I've got 4 daughters now, and the question came to me, what's the world going to be like on this current trajectory? What's the world going to be like for my kids and my grandkids? And I went through that period of scarcity, and then I read Bill Mollison's quote, "Though the problems of our world are increasingly complex, the solutions remain embarrassingly simple." And I started to bawl. And from that day forward, I've been focused on the question, how do we catalyze a shift in awareness that leads to mass adoption of taking the poisons out and using our land wisely? And then that led us to here, which is a demonstration site, which now we're scaling globally, and we're going to change the world. We together, with awareness being the first step in change, because with awareness is choice. Without awareness of choice, there's no choice. So the first thing we are doing is we are demonstrating. This is not a hypothetical solution to deforestation and mass extinction and cancer and diabetes and heart disease. It's not a hypothetical solution to tyranny. It's a demonstratable solution. And it's logical on every conceivable level to take the poisons out and grow edible landscapes instead of lawns.
Oh my God, I love that.
So we're one of the few people in our town in Wisconsin that we've not sprayed our lawn ever. So
Awesome.
It's been 15 years now.
Life.
And we can literally walk out onto the front lawn, and there's at least 80 different species that we can probably forage and eat from the front lawn. So we make salads from our front lawn.
Oh my God.
So, but everyone else, they're just raining these, so they poison their land, they rain all these poisons down, and then they go to the grocery store and they go and buy organic.
Yeah.
So it's like, I want to buy organic, but you're spraying all these chemicals that are killing things on your lawn.
Right.
You could be eating things from your lawn that aren't shipped from California, have far more nutrition. Boom. And then here you are, it's not just that, but it's our foods, our air, our water, all filled with poisons. And here you are basically regenerating the soil, regenerating the air, utilizing agriculture, permanent agriculture, in a way that we can utilize for our own food. So that's the name of your business, Food Forest Abundance.
Yeah, Food Forest Abundance. And it's so simple. That's what we're going to show you today. Like right here, we're in one of our Airbnb areas, and we've got a lot of these plants that just went in the ground, some of them over the last 2 weeks and some of them over the last year. And so we'll be able to walk through time, because the place we're going next is about a 2-year-old food forest. And the difference is exponential.
Okay, so first, you left the corporate space and you made some money, you left the corporate space, you went to Costa Rica. Is that where you learned about this concept. So the concept of permaculture.
Yeah.
Can you just first explain what permaculture is and what a food forest is?
I sure can. So permaculture is permanent culture. It's an agricultural, it started out as an ag design science, right? That the principle or the ethics are very simple. Earth care, people care, and voluntary share. I threw in the word voluntary because it said fair share, but the word fair has been radically corrupted. So voluntary share, because I'm a voluntarist. And it has principles, the 12 principles. And when you use this science in any area of life, it's absolutely incredible. So what we're talking about when we use the word permaculture is kind of the overarching science and ethics that literally lead to a regenerative culture. And literally, this will lead to peace on earth. When we take away the scarcity narrative by providing an abundance of food. Right? Kissinger said, if you want to control people, control food. So this is not just the ramblings of a psychopath. It's a strategy of a group of people who have always used this strategy to control the mind and the energy of the slave. And when somebody told me, Jim, you're a slave, you pay taxes, you do all this stuff, I got mad for a second. I said, I'm not a slave. I can do anything I want. Oh, really? Can you create value and then not pay the government a large percentage of the value you created without the threat of force and violence? And I'm like, oh my God, I'm a slave. So Goethe said, none are more hopelessly enslaved than those who falsely believe they are free. And it just blew my mind. So I've been working since then, and we have just lately achieved freedom.
This is one of those things that a lot of people don't recognize. They're like, oh, I'm a wage slave, but you actually might be more of a controlled person or human or man or woman than you think, because why do we need licenses to drive, to fish, to hunt? The only reason you need a license is because something is illegal for you to do without government permission. So you have to go and apply and beg their permission for you to obtain a document that says, here is a document that says you may go in this water and take some food.
Yeah, right?
This is insane. Like, that's not freedom.
That's not freedom at all. It's insanity. And we have, and I'm going to share it again now on your show here, we do not comply with government at all. We do not pay taxes. We built 10 homes now. 7 of them are finished over the last 15 months. We have not asked the government for permission to build these houses. And I've said this publicly on hundreds of shows, radio shows, and podcasts. And what we're doing, though, is very strategic, because we are not hating on anybody. We're simply helping them wake up. We're inviting the structures that are currently used to enslave us. We're inviting those people to see a better way, because it's the individual perpetrators of force and violence that we can get to. We can't yell at the brick buildings. We can't yell at the government itself. We simply invite and inspire the individual people to do the right thing. So when we had a permit guy come here the other day, and I've been waiting for this, I've been kind of anticipating it. And my heart started beating. I started taking deep breaths to presence myself. And I walked up and I said, hey, I introduced myself. I got it all on film. I said, my name's Jim. He introduced himself. And I said, who gave you permission to come on this land? It's posted in multiple places at the front. Implied consent is not granted. So you must be invited. And there's case law, if you're curious about it. There's case law there to say what happens. And he became very friendly. And then we talked for about 15 minutes. He had tears in his eyes at points. Because I said, what your government, what the people you represent will allow us to do is poison and kill this land. In fact, you'll even subsidize the use of glyphosate and Roundup and poisons. And what we're doing is natural law or God's law. And that's when he got tears in his eyes. And then I found out he's a preacher.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So he said, I'm with you, and he's going to help bring them in. Now, do I trust government? Of course not. That's not about that. Could I be in jail? Whatever. This doesn't matter. Could I be killed? That is irrelevant compared to my knowing of who we are and who I am, right? And that's what Sun Tzu in The Art of War. Know thyself, know thy enemy. 1,000 battles, 1,000 victories. That's a big statement. So then it begs the next question: who are we? Well, once I recognize who I am, who we all are, then I simply said, no. Faith and courage is the armor of God. It's a frequency, it's an energy field. And when we get strategic about it and we serve our community publicly and declare publicly that we are free, something magical happens, my friends.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
This is so good.
It's fun.
Our job is done here. We can go home. Mic drop.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's great.
so with that said, like this is a true freedom movement. We're bringing back real living food and agriculture to everybody, and you are demonstrating it. So what you don't know is I also have a permaculture design certification, although I got it many decades ago, and I haven't done a whole lot with it. So I trained, I learned all about it. We've set up our home to be a food forest, and I haven't done a ton of studying since then. And of course, I've never lived in an environment like Florida, so I'm really interested to see what you've got. So
I can't wait to show you.
Awesome. All right. So where are you taking us, Jim?
We're taking you now through, this is lot 1, and we started out with 10 lots, and we've changed our development structure a little bit. Now, instead of selling to 9 or 8 individual homeowners, we are now going to use this land to create Airbnbs so we can invite as many people as possible to see it and feel it and experience the freedom, the joy, the energy, and the life that this system brings. Yeah.
What do you two want to walk together, and then I'll kind of I think that'd be.
So we've got, I see there's already some things growing on this tree here.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
June plums, golden apples, guava, ice cream bean, loquats. These are so delicious. Let me see if I can get you some.
So as Jim is doing this is what I think is so fascinating to me about suburbia, is you have these same boulevards in suburbia. We have all these trees, these plants. Oh, I'm definitely going to change that after I'm done talking. In suburbia, and yet all of the plants that we see in suburbia, except our house, they're decorative species. They're ornamentals. They don't have food, but you could be eating your landscaping and it would still be beautiful.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, I've not met anybody yet who said this sucks.
Yeah. Totally.
Like, look at this. This is longevity spinach, right? Because it helps you live a long time. It's so amazing. That,
oh my God.
That loquat or nispro.
What is this? It's so good.
It is, isn't it?
Oh my God.
And it's a little pre-ripe. Like
Yeah,
if it gets
little
like 2 or
tart.
3 more days,
Yeah.
it's so
Amazing.
sweet and delicious.
Oh my God.
So this little strip of land here is about 8.5 yards wide, about 42 yards long. And we have 70 food-producing plants right here.
70. Whoa. And so
What?
the thing
Yeah.
about permaculture is you've got this, which is kind of like going to be an overstory, right?
So I just eat this?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
it just tastes great. It's like
It's
spinach.
intensely hallucinogenic, just one bite. I'm just kidding.
Oh my God. I'm like,
There has to be permission. No
Exactly.
implied consent.
oh my God.
So we create these stories in permaculture that Jim is really showing off here. So you've got the upper story, this will grow taller. And we look down below. And instead of having grass or just wood chips, he's got this longevity spinach that you can just pick this and eat it. It's all edible.
It's a living salad bar.
Yeah.
Right? And then this guild, right? A guild is a community of plants that support each other. So this is perennial peanut. And that is a nitrogen fixer and a beautiful ground cover. Plus it provides these yellow flowers for like 8-9 months of the year that are delicious and medicinal.
Wow.
And then we have an understory here. We have a Suriname cherry coming in. And then some comfrey. And some milkweed for the butterflies. So we have all the systems. We have the nitrogen fixers, we have the chop and drop, the understories, and some beneficial insect attractors.
Okay,
right there.
pause for just a second. Your thing said.
We just stepped on a red anthill here. So Miss Heidi is checking herself for red ants, and she'll have some.
She's transmuting pain, is what she's doing.
Yeah, fire ants.
Yeah.
I stepped on a red ant hill in Mexico,
yeah.
in Tulum, and it was. She told me not to move because there's an iguana behind me. She wanted to take a photograph of.
Oh no!
So I stood in the intense burning pain for a few minutes, and then we moved, and she let me
Ouch.
brush the ants off my legs.
Literally dragons in every side of you.
Wow.
The iguanas were
Yeah.
huge. It was great.
Oh, that's cool.
So we're walking through. I mean, this farm. How big is this farm, Jim?
It's a long, skinny 51 acres on a private 430 acre lake with a mile-long paved runway right here.
Wait, can you say that again? I'm so sorry. We'll edit that out.
Okay.
I want to video it.
Yeah. So we're on 51 acres, a long skinny piece of land on a private 430 acre lake with a mile-long paved runway to the east right here. This gate is for planes to come across. So the intention is this will be like the anti-Davos. World leaders, the good ones, the ones that we invite, will be coming here to learn about freedom and then to bring the systems and the practices back to their communities.
Wow. So do you have access to the lake here?
Yeah. Oh, we've got the only dock on this lake. It's a miracle. It's absolutely epic.
This place is amazing.
Let's go right over here.
So if you're listening to the podcast, you can watch on YouTube some of the videos that we're taking of Galt's Landing. So this place is full of structures. We're walking along a paved road right now. There's a fence to our left, and to our right there's trees. There are buildings. There's all sorts of things. There's even looks like a lighted tennis court here.
Yes.
Volleyball court.
That tennis court has a fun story. So on Christmas Eve, my birthday, I didn't have any meetings and I was wandering around, and I've never loved the looks of this area, this new kind of development look area. So I asked myself the question, what would this look like in the Garden of Eden? And instantly the vision came. And I went and got some sugar cane from the field over here, and I chopped it up and I started putting sugar cane in the ground. Sugar cane has multiple functions. It grows fast in poor soil, it creates a wind block, and it creates shade. And it also doesn't have a bunch of leaves that fall off of it. So we've got 3 layers here. We're going to do the sugar cane in the middle. On the back, we're going to put all the different types of grapes and passion fruit and vining plants. And in the front and along here, we're going to have all the different raspberries, blueberries, and blackberries and fruits. And so this will be a complete green living fence that produces massive amounts. Now, we also just purchased a sugarcane mechanical processor, which is simply a crank device. So you put a chunk of sugarcane right from the land. So you literally go into the field, you cut a piece of sugarcane, you put it in this device, and now you've got a glass of sugarcane water mixed with raspberries, blueberries, blackberries.
That sounds so good.
Yep, instead of Gatorade, which is toxic, of course.
So now it feels like we are off the path that's paved, and we're onto a shell type dirt path, and we're walking into what looks like a forest. I mean, it's 10 feet, 12 feet tall, trees and bushes here right in front of us.
Yes.
So what are we doing here? What are we looking at?
So the part that blows my mind about this is 2 years ago, this was nothing but sand. Literally 24 months ago, there was nothing here. And now it's a thriving food forest with over 240 different species of edible and medicinal plants.
This is incredible.
Yeah.
So these things are 12, maybe 20 feet high, some of these plants.
Yeah, some of those bananas are getting way up there, aren't they?
So these are banana plants.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, look at all the bananas coming in.
Oh, I see them now.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Isn't that awesome?
This is
There's
amazing.
pineapple and canna lily and lots of food here. Now, here's the kicker on this. This food forest, we could leave right now and come back in 30 years. In 30 years, this food forest would not only be mature and epically productive, but it would have spread for hundreds, if not thousands of miles. As the wind and the water and the birds come in and eat the seeds and go on the other side of the lake, and now you've got a new raspberry bush growing up over there.
Wow.
So this system is exponentially beneficial. Right? So that's what we're doing next, is we're putting these systems all over the world. Now, it's already been done. Permaculturalists have been doing this forever. In fact, this is not a new thing. This is the oldest story in the book. Right? It's take the poisons out, use our land, mimic natural systems. That's what permaculture is. It's a mimicry science where we look at nature, we observe and interact, and we say what works. And we learn from that, and then we design, according to our desires, these Garden of Eden paradises. And then we scale it, and we change the world.
Wow. And is that what you're doing with food forest abundance?
That's exactly right. Yeah. Galt's Landing is one element, food forest abundance. Then we've got a council of 12, again, modeling after what works. We are creating a platform where all of the services and products and people with the wisdom, it'll be a permaculture platform. And we're going to be then sharing all of this information. So people, anytime they want to ask a question, maybe it's, I'm in Minnesota, how do I grow tomatoes, right? And then some permaculture professional will be on the other side of that question. And so will the community, helping that person become self-reliant.
Wow.
Yeah.
So this is what we need everywhere, right?
Everywhere.
So the key is to have these people available in any city, in any country.
Yes. Yes, and we launched about 3 years ago. In April 21st, it'll be 3 years. And we are now serving people in 54 countries and 50 states. And we just did a proposal to the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia. We are in process of a proposal to the President of El Salvador and also the government of Guatemala. Permaculture is scalable, and it goes from big patterns to little details. So we start with, what's the end goal in mind? Well, the end goal is food everywhere, is peace on earth, is the Garden of Eden everywhere. And so what does that look like and feel like, and how do we achieve that? And that's when we get into the details.
So Jim, how did you extract yourself from the machine and get turned on to permaculture to even get to this point?
So desperation in one way. There's two things. The first, I started a mortgage company when I was about 30 years old and did $1.3 billion in volume in 3.5 years from scratch. And then I bought a boat, lived on the ocean. Then I found Costa Rica, and that's when I learned about permaculture and had my daughters. And so I actually had a lot of time and I had a lot of money. So when I started studying, when we go into a scarcity mindset, I started investing every single penny I had into demonstrating the solutions. I created some off-grid and food-producing communities, and then the government came in of Costa Rica, and they started extorting us. They said, $20,000 under the table, or we're going to shut you down. We said no. They shut us down. It was traumatic. It was 2011. We were the most successful developer in the country at the time. We then sued them. And through a series of really beautiful synchronicities, we've got the right witnesses that corroborated what we were saying, and we won all the court cases.
Wow.
Yes. Yeah, it was amazing. According to a court-appointed actuary, we are owed $28 million, but that was like 9 years ago. I'm not holding my breath. Now, I do invite the Costa Rican president to reach out to me because we would love to bring these systems to scale to Costa Rica. And here they are. All right, this is where it gets really fun. I met with Bobby Kennedy back in, I think it was October. I sat down with him and I said, Bobby, the campaign strategy that I'm going to share with you, that we've designed for you and any other person that wants to lead, it's permaculture based, and it will not only win you the election, but your campaign itself will change the world over the next 12 months. His eyes got big. He said, how do you do that? And I said, well, sit down and I'll show you. And I had 4 documents. And I said, start with, imagine that you're at a school and you're making the campaign pledge. I'm going to take all the poisons out of the school land and school lunches. We are going to reverse childhood illness and diabetes and cancer and all these things that our children are suffering from. And we are going to teach the kids. The kids are going to grow some of their own food at school, and they're going to learn permaculture. If that's the only thing we did in our world today, it would radically change the world.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Most kids don't even know where their food comes from, even in chickens.
Yeah.
There's a chicken right behind Jim here, working its way through the food forest garden. And most kids, they're like, well, where does chicken come from? The chicken patty or the chicken tender. They see it as like this food that's breaded, and they're just like, they have to think about it. They don't even know that it would come from a chicken that you'd see on a farmyard.
Yeah, they have no idea until they see it and feel it. They're like, whoa. And then something innate is born within us when we experience these systems. We recognize that this is the way it should be. Everything we've learned about agriculture in our biggest colleges and universities globally is a lie. We don't need monocultures anywhere. We simply get to put edible landscapes. Right? There's almost 50 million acres of lawn in the United States alone. When we transition 50% of that lawn, that's 25 million acres of permaculture food forest that can feed everybody. Wow. When it's done right.
So how do you change, like in our neighborhood, of course, like we're doing it, but how do you change the norms from having basically a manicured golf course that no one ever sits on or steps on? especially not barefoot because there's poisons and chemicals
Yep.
on there. So how do we change it from the yards that everyone wants to have to food forests? Like how does somebody begin to make that
Yeah.
change of mind?
Yes. So we start by inspiring them. How? By showing them what's possible. Once people become aware of what's possible, then they want it. So we start by inspiring, and then we empower them by providing them the design elements and the functional ways to transition yards. A lot of people say, well, my HOA won't allow it. Well, it's about time we stand up to those systems and say, no, we're not complying with any form of force and violence. What the HOAs will allow people to do is spray poisons and chemicals on their land. No, we just say no to that. Now, and we also demonstrate with courage and with service. And that's a key to this. When I recognize that the most selfish thing I could ever do is love you and to serve you, because what happens in a system of abundance when we serve is we get served. People want to be reciprocal. That's just human nature.
Yeah.
Right? People are not the problem like we have been led to believe. Now, are we part of the problem? Absolutely. We recognize that when we're destroying people and relationships and we're lowering our energy fields and so on, we recognize that that's harming. Right? So we create with awareness, and then next step is we show people exactly how to do it step by step.
So what advice would you give somebody that's working in a corporation, has a suburban home? Like, where can they start?
Everything starts with the first intention and desire, and then design. The design process is incredibly detailed, and it is truly the bottleneck, which we now have solutions for. But designing is complicated business, because you have to know, as a designer, okay, how do we put these guilds together? Does that pineapple do well next to that banana plant? Well, look at it. It looks like it's doing great, right? And do these ground covers work in this zone? So a lot of people are out there saying, well, I'm in Minnesota or Arizona, and this doesn't work in my zone. Yes, it does. Bananas won't grow in your zone, but the principles of permaculture work in every zone. And in fact, I've got a buddy near the shores of Lake Superior, where it's really cold in Minnesota. His food forest makes this one look like a baby.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
This is the cool thing, is like they say, well, you can't grow peaches in Wisconsin, Minnesota. You can't grow chestnuts in Wisconsin, Minnesota. Yet people are doing it that know about permaculture, because they find a way to work with their environment to create those foods that they want and that work well.
Yeah.
And it's like all about discovering, observing, and learning how to make that happen.
Boom.
It's so cool.
Right?
Yeah.
So, okay, I just gave one campaign strategy. And by the way, it's funny because I had these documents laid out in front of Bobby Kennedy. And the first one I showed him was his picture, and he was at the school. The second one was Trump's picture at a prison. The third one was DeSantis's picture in a city park. And the fourth one was Kanye West's picture, and he was in front of a church. And so the reason I did that, he goes, that's not me. I said, it could be. And imagine if somebody like Trump or anybody with that big of a platform stood in a prison, surrounded by the inmates, in logical ways, of course, and they were making the claim. All right, let's just take Donald Trump, for example. I'm going to reverse crime by 50% over the next 4 years. What would the media do on that statement? They would lose their minds. That statement would get so much press and publicity. And here's the thing. It's true when you add permaculture. And this has been done. Again, this isn't a hypothetical solution to crime. It's been demonstrated. When inmates spend, and this was done in California, 3 years in a gardening program, not even a full permaculture program, but the pilot was a gardening program, the recidivism rate for those inmates dropped by more than 60%.
Wow.
That's huge. And the taxpayers saved $40 million because the inmates now are growing their own food, poison-free, they're becoming healthier, and now they feel connected to growth and life again.
So is that, you think, why there's less recidivism? Is that it's the inmates? Is it the bacteria in the soil? Is it connecting with nature, connecting with themselves? What changes?
Well, multiple things. One thing that changes for sure is obvious is they're now eating healthy food. And they're also grounding. They're touching the soil. They're in the soil again. And they're also then learning how they can create life instead of what they learned growing up in the hood or wherever, where it's all about struggle and fight and death, right? When we learn to work with nature, nature is by far the best teacher.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's one of our favorite sayings.
Yeah.
One of our best teachers is nature.
Yeah.
And grounding and getting on the earth and all the free things that people can do. So if somebody wants to do something like this around their own house, it's like you said, they have to have the desire. Like they have to want to do this, right? You can't just say, well, I'll think about it. You really have to want to have that local food.
Yeah, and you get to want to because it's better in every conceivable way. Right? And people, when they see this big food forest, they might say, oh, I don't have an acre of land. I only have 1,000 square foot of land. Well, let's look at this little area here. This is a 20-foot diameter circle, right? And on this 20-foot diameter circle, you could have 4 overstory fruit trees. You could have a half dozen understory, berries, raspberries and blueberries and blackberries and perennial spinaches. And then you could have your roots and tubers. You could have sweet potatoes in here and turmeric and ginger here in this zone. So you could have 40 different food producing plants in this one area.
Wow. That's what I think people don't recognize is they think they need all this space.
Yeah.
But I mean, people have done this concept called spin farming. They've done community supported agriculture right from front lawns of homes, just utilizing the space in an appropriate manner where you grow vertically, horizontally, under the ground. Just if you use it properly, there's so much abundance, as you talk about with your business name, that you can have right in your own house.
We completely destroy the scarcity narrative. And speaking of this, so I think if you want, maybe right after this or even during it, this is Pat Miletich. Pat Miletich was a 5-time UFC world champ and also a coach of a dozen other world champs, and now he's a soil savior. Him and Dr. Will Spencer are here bringing these systems in. So what do you think? Should we talk with him now or should we do that after?
Let's, well, he's here right now. Why don't we ask him some questions?
Come
and I want
on
to
in.
make sure, Jim, we go through the rest of the area that you want us to hear about.
Love it, love it, love it.
All right.
Patrick.
Pat.
So here's what I'm thinking, because they actually have a contraption right here that is creating this vortex and all these different things with Dr. Will Spencer as well. So let's continue on our piece here, and then we'll stop there on our way. This was presented to me as a chemtrail disruptor. And I have now observed and interacted with this thing and on camera multiple times. In fact, we plugged this in yesterday. We did a film. We put a battery in there, a 9-volt battery, and immediately looked up. And the chemtrails that were on all sides of us were thicker, and they were just wicked solid. Right above us, again on camera multiple times, they were more diffused and separated. So I think that there's something going on that my mind can't wrap.
Yeah, this is, if you're unfamiliar with the concept, anyone who's listening to this, look up electroculture, look up cloud busters, or look up, vinegar chemtrail experiments, and you'll start to go down the rabbit hole of how to disperse chemtrails above your area. And the more people doing this, the more freedom we have to have access to our God-given right to the sun.
Yes, 100%. And the more, that's the thing, mass adoption. How do we catalyze a shift in awareness that leads to mass adoption? That's how we win the war.
So I'm looking at some electroculture, some copper tubes, some orgonite on the top of this copper tube pyramid. And certainly if you ever come to our house in Wisconsin, we have electroculture. I have a 25-foot tree branch that fell during like a mini tornado, and I wrapped the entire thing with copper and then stood it on end and ran it up another tree. So I've got about 4 to 5 pieces of copper electroculture, including a 25-foot tall piece that I used both supposedly to harvest some of the magnetic field, the ether essentially, and bring it down to the plants where they need it.
Isn't that beautiful? It's so amazing. And look at how this ground cover is just rocking over here. I'm going to be barefoot almost all the time. There's a few places where there's mulch, and because we're in a construction zone, there's a few things to watch out for. But pretty soon you'll never see me with shoes on.
This is amazing. Yeah, we're barefoot all summer long. Not so much in the winter, of course,
right?
where we
Get
live.
that.
Sheepskin in the winter.
Yeah. Look at the papayas coming in.
Oh, those are papayas. Wow.
For the bunch. The guavas are coming in. This plant really suffered through a cold January, and now you can see the new leaves coming in.
Bright green. The old leaves are kind of yellowish from how cold it was, and the new ones are bright and thriving.
Yeah.
We've got a chicken coop here, some chickens running free.
Yep.
Are you using chickens for eggs as well as just using them to fertilize the land?
Yes, exactly. Look at the new spring leaves coming in.
Oh, wow.
Isn't that awesome. So yeah, we get over a dozen eggs a day, and their chickens are one of the most incredible assets in a permaculture food forest. They provide so many values, including, of course, eggs and meat. And when they're used with cattle, we have a cattle pasture here, then you bring the chickens in 3 days after the cattle were in a certain area, and they will eat all the larvae and the bugs and the wood ticks. So, in fact, Joel Salatin was just here about 2 weeks ago.
Really?
And in 4 minutes and 30 seconds, he laid out everything we're doing wrong on our cattle pasture
Oh my gosh.
in such a beautiful way. So this is our lifetime family home we're building here. It's made of the frame is all basically 3D printed recycled steel. So this home will have no termites, no fire, no mold. 90% recycled and 100% recyclable, and it's way stronger than stick built.
Wow.
We're going to keep those monoculture food forests, or those lumber forests. We're going to keep the trees in the ground.
So I don't see any wood in here. I see a whole bunch of steel, and like instead of 2x4s, it's all steel structure, steel beams, steel I-beams. This is how they do commercial buildings for a good reason, but for whatever reason, maybe for their own reasons, they don't do this for residential homes, although this would be the way to do it, both to mitigate electromagnetic frequencies or EMFs, but also for longevity and recyclability. I mean, this is amazing.
Isn't that cool? I'm so glad we met the guys from New Energy World. They heard what I was doing. They presented their product. I built quite a few homes, probably 70 or 80 in 3 different countries. When I saw this, I said all in, and I'm very glad.
Wow, this is amazing.
Did you just say 70 or 80?
Yeah.
You were like, I built a couple homes.
Yeah.
70 or 80? That's a lot of homes.
Yeah. I developed in Nicaragua, Costa Rica mostly, and then 5 or 6 here in the United States, soon to be about 20.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and then this part is the part that actually makes me the most excited. The visioning what's to come here. In fact, just yesterday we put all these fruit trees in the ground on the sides, and this is going to be a colloidal silver 2-layer pool.
What?
Yep, it'll be.
I didn't even know there was such a thing.
Well, there's not, but I know it'll work. I know
I love it.
principles of colloidal silver. We might put a little colloidal copper and gold in there and just measure the ppm and just to see where the balance is. And then on the sides of the pool, we're going to have living plants like water hyacinth and other filter feeding plants. So when you get it, it'll be like the fountain of youth. And then the first pool will be no fish, because my wife and daughter, they say they don't want to swim with fish. But the next layer down after a little waterfall will be a living pond. That's where I'll be swimming with the big bass.
Oh, nice. I love it. This is like these ideas that you're coming up with, Jim. Like you're saying, like, people can do this. Like, you don't have to wait for someone to invent it and to tell you what to do and to tell you, like, this is the code and you have to put chlorine in your pool that will kill the plants when it sloshes over the side, instead of what you're doing, which will feed the plants and the fish when it sloshes over the side.
Everybody wins. Nature wins. It's a system that creates more life and more energy than it takes to create and maintain. It's regenerative to the max. And everything here, this will be like an epic food forest. Right, we'll have the bigger trees on the sides. We'll maintain our lake view, and we'll have understory, lower, a lot of blueberries and raspberries and blackberries and all that stuff in this area. And then that'll be our border wall for the neighbors of food. It'll be like a Garden of Eden border wall, just food everywhere.
Build the border out of food forests.
Yep, that's right.
So we're looking at a lake right here, basically on the back porch of his soon-to-be home. It's a beautiful view. Well, I can envision the pool and the colloidal gold and silver and copper. This is so cool. Giving me ideas.
Yeah, oh, isn't that fun? That's what it's all about. It's let's plant these seeds of awareness, ideas. You know, Victor Hugo said there's one thing stronger than all of the armies of the world, and that is an idea whose time has come. Well, nature, God's design, the Garden of Eden, it's time.
It's time. I love it.
Right? So the other thing I'm excited about after meeting with Joe Salatin here is this cattle pasture is absolutely not done right currently. But we've already purchased the different gear. In fact, he had us go in and get these little electric fences that can be charged by solar. So we're going to be putting that, and we're going to be sectioning off this cattle pasture. And so there'll be so much more growth. He taught me it was all about the grass.
So it's almost like Alan Savory. So it's the holistic management where you keep the cows in a smaller area.
Yes.
They eat it down, they poop there, they fertilize it, and then you move them to the next area where there's abundant new greenery.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And one of the things that he helped me see is if you have cows grazing a big area like this, they'll pick the most desirable plants and they'll leave the undesirable plants. Well, what does that mean?
The undesirables grow in more frequency
Boom!
and spread.
Pretty soon you've got a whole pasture of undesirables. Well, when you do it the way he taught me, then they'll eat all the plants. And then in the meantime, the other grass is growing way faster because it gets to a certain point and it has like a growth spurt. Then that means that the other grass will be more nutrient dense and a lot more to it than if you keep them sectioned off and moving.
And the variety of plants, I'm assuming like there's medicinals the cows will be eating, not just the grass to feed them and have them gain weight. So it's like having this diversity is what nature intends. So you're getting your medicine and your food from the field, the actual FARM pharmacy, not the PH pharmacy.
Exactly.
Yeah, this is so cool.
Jim, I have a question for you. Are cows the only livestock you have here? Is your vision beyond that with like pigs or sheep or goats?
We currently have several types of cows. We have a couple types of turkey. We have several types of chickens.
Saw some turkey hiding in the woods.
Oh, really? Okay.
Isn't that cool?
Cool.
We have ducks. We have bees, and I have 7 species of fish in the pond.
Oh, great. Awesome.
And then, the pond. So we take water out of the pond on a solar timer, and it fertigates the food forest.
What does that mean?
I was just going to say fertigates.
And irrigate at the same time.
Fertigates.
Yep. And it's basically large-scale aquaponics.
Whoa.
Very large.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
This is great.
Awesome?
Have you been on Hilda, Holistic Hilda's podcast yet for Wise Traditions?
Sally Fallon.
Yeah.
I love Sally. It's a couple years back, and I love those folks. Everything they're doing is amazing.
I mean, we should hook you up with Hilda because she's a good friend of ours, and so we could she would definitely be interested.
She's at Joel Salatin's farm every month.
Wow. Yeah.
So that would be so cool.
Yeah. I guess I appreciate all of these folks so much, like you coming out here and shining a light on this. This is literally how we change the world.
Blueberry?
Is by coming together. In fact, I just read a Martin Luther King quote. I was at a park in somewhere where, anyway, the quote was, "Those who love peace must learn to organize as well as those who love war."
Oh, yeah.
Boom. And so that's what we're doing.
Brings it right home.
It brings it home. We're coming together and organizing and putting in layers of strategy that help people become self-reliant again.
So you're organizing. If someone who's listening to this is interested in being more self-reliant, doing some of the permaculture things, wanting to be part of the organization, like that's coming up, the new earth, the way that we're moving, the new energies, how do they get involved? Is it they need to find someone that's part of Food Forest Abundance near them? Are there other ways to get involved and organized?
That's what we do, is we collaborate with anybody who wants to participate in the regeneration of our world and freeing humanity. So we have multiple layers. One is, there's a little ant pile there, if somebody wants to be in the business of helping their community be self-reliant, we have a cooperative partnership. So people can actually be in the business of going into landscapes and transitioning them from death to life.
Wow.
And then we have the designers. So if you're a permaculture designer, get a hold of us, and we have a design program where we help designers get to market. Because that's a lot of designers, they're really good at technical details, like accountants, but they don't know how to market.
Exactly.
So we help with that. We help provide the structure. And then the ultimate is the Freedom Farm Academy model, which is scaling all over the world. And that is a off-grid homestead. So if somebody wants to take their current homestead or get a new one and take it completely off-grid with food, water, energy, community, and then adding the function of education and demonstration. This is an incredible model. There's so many values here, and this is how we bring these to different communities. In fact, I'm also reaching out to any HOA people or any golf course owners or any governments, anybody who is currently the steward of the land. And we can take some of that land in an HOA and turn it into a food forest. Everything will go up in value around it.
That's so interesting that people just don't get that. Like, they're just like, no, ornamental trees and grass, and then like these areas where nature kind of takes over, and that's all well and good where the nature hits.
I'm getting sunburnt. I either need my wrap or your shirt.
Go for
So
it.
if you want to go bare chested, like you want some more sunlight, like I'm happy to. I just need like my back of my shoulders from yesterday. Like I'm getting.
I could for a little bit.
Is that okay? Otherwise, I can run back and get.
That's fine for a little bit.
Take off your shirt, Thaddeus.
There you go. There you go.
Sorry, you're all sweaty. Oh, you're so sweet. Okay, Jim, we're gonna have you.
Yeah, this is awesome. Got it.
Sorry to be such a.
No,
I'm
this is
just like
yeah.
I don't want to get sunburned.
The sun is smoking today.
Well, we were out on the beach all day yesterday.
So you already got a.
So I gotta.
Yeah.
I mean, it's fine, but I don't want to be there.
Yeah, I know we need to wrap it up for you, Jim, too. But like, make sure we get to what else you want us to share, and then I want to make sure people know like where to find you and all your web social links to whatever else.
Cool. Okay.
Sure. But make sure we get through this, and then if there's still time afterwards, whatever else we want to talk through or you want to show us. So.
First, where do you live right now, Jim?
I live in the second house in.
Okay.
Over there, and then that's our lifetime family home.
Okay, so that's a concrete house?
It's steel frame. These are all.
They're all steel frame.
Yep, they're all
Okay.
steel frame.
Cool.
Yeah.
This is absolutely incredible.
It really blows my mind every day. Every day.
Are we recording still?
Yep.
Oh, can I just use the mic for a second? I can feel, I'm empathic, and so like I can feel like in the vibration of when you speak, Jim, I can feel your passion, right? I mean, it is so, it's so unbelievable, but there's like not words to really describe it. And you guys can hear like in all the quotes that you're throwing down, and I wish people could be in your aura right now feeling like this energy and this passion, and then the visual, putting all of it together, like it is just, I mean, unbelievable. Yeah.
A food forest is the ultimate stack of benefits and joys and functions. Right? You can count the seeds in a papaya, but you cannot count the papayas in a seed. They're infinite.
Oh my God.
Yeah, look at it. There's a Seminole pumpkin right there, and there's mulberries coming in and cherries. This tree right here has like 1 million. It looks like 1 million mulberries coming in. Look at this thing.
Oh wow! Everywhere.
It's like 5 per inch or something.
So we're looking at a mulberry tree. There's some unripe mulberries that are just starting to get to the point where some might be ripe. And most people that live just about anywhere in the U.S., especially up in the northern areas, they see mulberry. They'll see them all over the ground where the birds have like dropped them, or the birds have pooped purple from eating so many mulberries. And then you'll see little kids like, Mommy, can I eat one of these berries? And it's always like, don't touch those, they're poisonous. Like you can't eat those. But imagine like all these monocropped fields that are sprayed with glyphosate and pesticides and herbicides and whatever else it is. These city trees that we see, like the mulberries, they're not sprayed. They're completely organic, and they're probably one of the healthiest things you could eat.
And David Avocado Wolf was here a bit ago, and he shared with me that the mulberry has more. What words did he use? It's a very complex, nutrient-dense system. Like it's one of the most complex fruits for nutrients that exists.
Wow. And they're just like, they go to, I mean, there's probably 5 mulberry trees within 1 block of us.
Yeah.
Downtown Hudson, Wisconsin. And not one person eats off of those trees except us.
Right? Oh, here I see a fresh fruit. Now this is, basically it's the beginning of March. So this is after a pretty cold January and pretty cold February. So anyway, we do have some fruits. This citrus is incredibly medicinal. It's very tart.
And what are we looking at? Do you know that?
It's some type of medicinal citrus.
So it looks like an orange or a lemon. It's really small. It's about the size of a golf ball, essentially.
Yeah.
And Jim's here peeling the skin off of the orangey lemon thing.
We're
going to try it
tart.
out. Oh, I'll definitely try it. I love tart.
Okay.
Yeah,
There's seeds. There's seeds in it.
his mouth is like.
It's citrusy. No, it's very tart, but it's not like puckery.
You really?
I'll
try a little bit.
It's a really unique flavor.
And this here is cranberry hibiscus. This is another one. You mix these leaves like this. Try some of those. Here.
Oh, you mix this cranberry hibiscus with the orange. Oh, that's really good. Now, like, who wouldn't want to come out to their yard or their property, and instead of just looking at this golf course lawn with poison sprayed on it that you won't go barefoot, put on your shoes, kids. Take your shoes off. Come out here and eat. Send the kids out. Go outside and eat some food. Like, they can just literally go out in the landscape and eat and
Anytime.
forage.
Right.
And
It's epic.
I'm looking at citrus fruit. I'm looking at pumpkins. I'm looking at chickens and turkeys over here. There's a giant turkey right behind. He's calling. I was just. This is a huge turkey, like a huge tom turkey. He's all fluffed out. He's white and black. This is really cool.
No, he
he
hasn't hurt too many people.
And so you come out to your landscape, and you've got this, as Jim says, like an abundance of food and nature and medicine.
Smell.
This is so. I mean, this is what life should be like. It's like the Garden of Eden here.
It is. That's exactly what I imagine the Garden of Eden to be, where I don't ever have to, like, we don't have any bills. We don't have taxes. We don't have an energy bill. We don't have water bill. And we could literally eat every single meal in our backyard.
Oh my gosh.
Without maintenance.
And so, how long would you say a homeowner in suburbia versus someone with an acre of land out in the country, how long would it take them to go from nothing, from this crazy manicured lawn, to having food that they could start eating in abundance?
So the annuals and sweet potatoes and tomatoes and things that grow within 60 to 90 days, you can have a lot of food in 60 to 90 days. This type of system, call it 3 to 4 years, and now you never have to buy food again for the rest of your life.
So think about that. Like how long you might live in your home for 10 years, but you could start now. So the best time to start was yesterday.
Yep.
And so get in those perennials, like the trees that grow. So one of the things that was described to me is like, well, when you plant an apple tree, like it might take 4 to 5 years to get up to the right height to start producing. But then once it starts producing apples, you have apples forever.
Yes.
Like these things last for hundreds of years, providing you food forever with little to no maintenance.
Exactly. And then pretty soon, so do all your neighbors have apples, and so do all their neighbors. Because you can do the same thing with apples, right? You can count the seeds in an apple, but you can't count the apples in a seed.
Oh my gosh, I love that.
It's your cat.
Right? Isn't he? I know.
You want something to say?
Not so sure.
Does it have a name? It's a he.
We are thinking about calling it George. Yes, you. Come on, George.
That noise he makes is like, it sounds like a sound system or
Right.
something. Like, what is that?
He's showing off.
Okay.
He's puffing up to show off that
George,
he's a
you are
beautiful
Gorgeous.
guy.
Wow.
Red, white, and blue with a little black. Oh man. Yeah, it's a joke.
So cool.
Then there's one more place. I want to bring you over and show you the vortex machine.
Oh, the vortex machine.
Yeah, this is.
We didn't get to talk about this.
Oh,
So we're in this 20-foot diameter circle that we talked about earlier with the electroculture, and there is a piece of art sitting here that Jim has his hands on, and it looks like, well, you describe it for us,
Okay,
Jim. What are we looking at?
This was created. The artist is Hank Willis Thomas out of South Africa, a black fella who suffered through apartheid. This is the symbol of tyranny This is the British baton, right? The ultimate symbol of colonialism and force and violence. And that's the farmer's arm saying no more.
So the farmer's arm's coming up out of the ground and grabbing the hand with the baton so that there's no more of that colonial violence.
Yes. And by the way, since we're talking about it, I'll share real quickly the other two strategies that I gave to these politicians. The one was DeSantis, and I said, it said, I'm going to help Florida be food secure in the next 4 years. So here's the facts of the matter. And again, using the same resources that we are already using, just turning the dial from insane to sane, right? From death to life, which is so logical. When the Florida state budget is $92 billion, at least it was in 2001. 5% of that over 4 years is over $18 billion.
Wow.
That equals 18,000 $1 million food forest installations. That's every school, every park, every community center, every ghetto, every old folks home, the whole state of Florida.
Could be food self-sufficient right outside your door, essentially, in every community.
And every 18,000. Yes. I mean, so the way we're currently using our resources is absolutely insane. And that act would lower crime massively. It would create abundance. Food would be free everywhere. Everybody would win that wants to do good for the world.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
It's so simple.
Yeah. And then the last one, real briefly, is how do we end the military-industrial complex? And I shared this with Bobby. I said, you go in to these army bases that represent colonialism and force and violence, and you turn them into food forest nurseries. And then you hand them over to the people. It's the ultimate act of, we are no longer here to harm and force and enslave you. We are now here to hand you this, and it's yours. We're going to go home.
Oh my gosh, how cool would that be? That's powerful.
So what did DeSantis say?
I haven't talked to him.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so
He was talking to Bobby Kennedy.
Yeah, but I did put DeSantis on the picture because I know the Florida numbers.
Yeah,
And Ron DeSantis, you're invited. Come here.
that's right.
Please
Come on over.
and let's work together and let's change the world.
So we're walking back through the food forest here, bananas. And we're going to head towards some sort of device that you're going to show us.
Yes, and this is Dr. Will Spencer and Pat Militich. They are bringing this to the world at scale, and we're helping them because that's what we do. We shine a light on the people, the products, and services that are needed to create a completely regenerated, healthy, abundant society. And this is one of them. In fact, this is the solution to glyphosate poisoning on all of our farmland. It's right here.
Whoa. Like the solution for people to stop doing that or to regenerate from the glyphosate?
Yes. This product that is in that little vat right there.
So I'm looking at a white plastic tank. I can see some liquid bubbling through it.
Yep. And
I see a backpack sprayer.
Yeah, exactly. Backpack sprayers, you walk around and you spray the plants. In fact, Doc Will sprayed one of those melon plants yesterday, and the leaves that he sprayed are much greener than the leaves that he didn't spray.
Oh my, whoa.
Yeah.
So the leaves are taking up the nutrition right through the leaf itself, which most people don't probably even know that they can do that.
If you look in here, you can see a vortex.
So I'm looking at the top of this tank. It's on stilts. It's a pretty big tank. I'd say, I don't know, maybe like 100 gallons, less than 100 gallons, but close. And in the top, I can see through the top, and there's a vortex being pulled. So it's like a big vortex, almost like a whirlpool of water.
Yep. And this has so many functions, and I am not the expert by any means in this. Doc Will is, and Pat is. But there's something about creating that vortex of energy that helps the plants, all these nutrients, be more bioavailable.
Yes. So Rudolf Steiner, who invented, or was one of the inventors of biodynamic agriculture, one of the ways that you create the fertilizers that go into the land is by pulling a vortex to pull etheric energies, capture cosmic energy that's up there for our benefit, embed it into the liquid that then you spray onto the plants themselves.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
That's right. And then what they've done, they've searched the world for the most powerful microbiome. There's over 1,000 different living organisms in this system.
Wow.
Yeah.
So this is like just a whole living liquid entity infused with ether that gets sprayed on the plants to benefit their growth and their health, so that when we eat them and when they go back into the soil and produce more fertilizer, it just keeps getting richer and richer and richer.
Exactly. And so I said about this is a cure for glyphosate and also the heavy metals in injections and other things that have been plaguing humanity. So what this does is it will actually eat those heavy metals, and what will come out the other side is bioavailable nutrients.
Really?
Yes.
That's phenomenal.
It's scalable, and they've already got like 1 million acres under contract, and we're going to change the world. This product alone, if this is all we did, this product has the ability to completely revolutionize agriculture and create life.
Oh my gosh, everyone needs to use this.
Yeah.
Is it something similar to? It reminds me of like Dr. Zach Bush in his Restore. Yeah. So something.
Yeah, I wouldn't be the right guy to ask because I'm ignorant as heck when it comes to how this particular thing works, just like the Chembusters. But what I've witnessed in less than 24 hours is leaves that were sprayed. The leaves around it are kind of yellow, which is a nutrient deficiency. In less than 24 hours, those leaves are dark green.
Wow. Yeah, the Restore from Dr. Zach Bush is ancient microbes in some water, but not with all the other stuff, not awakened and enlivened and put back on the soil. So I think this has probably got something like Restore plus a bunch more into it.
Is it on the market yet, Jim, or is it like still in?
It is.
Okay.
Yeah, in fact, it's. Well, I'll get you the website.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll put it in the show notes.
Yeah. I can't remember the name of it. Something Nautics.
Oh, this is cool.
Are
Yeah,
these
it's-
like different? What's the syrup and the?
Yep, different types of syrup, different things to catalyze growth, and because this is a living system, so you put this on the land and it expands, and it helps. So the soil is just like the immune system of our bodies. The soil is the immune system of Mother Earth. So when we give the immune system what it needs, then the plants are strong and healthy.
Yes.
And that's what this is all about. This is like vitamins that are living for the plants.
And that's just like us. If we eat living foods, we gain life from those foods. If we eat dead, ultra-processed foods, it takes our life force to break those down and incorporate them. So we can either die while we eat the foods or enhance our lives while we eat, just like the plants. So this is, instead of putting dead Roundup to kill everything, these plants are being given something that's living to help them live life for life.
Boom. Yeah, so I'm so thankful for the council and all the people that are coming around, and now we continue to organize, shine a light on this, and then we're right on the edge of mass adoption. I think it's going to happen in the next 12 months. I really do.
Gosh.
Because we also got a TV show funded now, 12 episodes, and we're going into yards and completely turning an ugly lawn into this Garden of Eden paradise.
Cool. So it's instead of taking these ugly homes and flipping them, you're taking these ugly lawns and flipping them into food for us. I love it.
Exactly. So everybody's invited. Whoever's listening, you want to come out here to Galt's Land. It's galtslanding.farm. GALTS landing.farm is our website. And then foodforestabundance.com. And also, if anybody wants to start growing food, start with design. The design will save a ton of headaches. And our design team is standing by, and we have a free strategy session. It's 30 minutes with a professional permaculture designer. And our mission is to inspire you to grow food. Whether you've got $20 and we teach you how to go to the store with that $20 and buy some organic fruits and veggies and take the seeds out and start your own food forest, which will take, more time and energy. But my point is, you don't need money to do this. You just need desire. And then for people who have some extra money and they want to invest it wisely, then investing in the design process and putting trees and food into the yard, it's the most incredible investment in the world right now. In fact, I'll say one more real quick thing. Fiat, the currency, the dollar that we're using, which is not backed by anything since Bretton Woods back in 1971 or 200 Nixon, when he took us off the gold standard, fiat is collapsing. Fiat is in rapid decay. It's shit. It's compost. So we compost the fiat by buying fruit trees in life. Every one of them go up in value by hundreds of % within the first year.
Wow, that's such an interesting concept. Oh my gosh. So when you were talking, I was thinking about like your daughters. You have 4 daughters. Are they involved in the daily, operations, or you're teaching them? Are you homeschooling them? I'm very interested in unschooling, and
Yes.
I actually call it fun school.
Yes.
So it's like, why not make school? I don't even like the word school anymore, but like it's fun. Like this can be life. Like, what's your take on that?
I love that you asked that. I'm so glad you asked that, Heidi. So we're putting a school right over here. Like Little House in the Prairie style school. 25 students. And the students will be tasked with operating the greenhouse and operating and helping to propagate the permaculture food forest, and then planting seeds and starts. And then they will profit when somebody from the community comes in and buys some of the propagations and plants that the students created. The school will profit from it. So within about 12 to 15 months, the school itself will be profitable. So there'll be no expense. The students will learn permaculture.
That's an oxymoron. A profitable school.
Right. Exactly. And it's so logical. And everything we do is open source. So the whole point is for other people to say, oh my God, I want to start a school like that. Good. If you want support, that's what our team does. If you just want to do it on your own, do it. We'll still support you.
Wow.
You know, you can, everything we do on our website, if you want to take our designs, anything like that, take it. Take our videos, spread them around. We have one mission. Money is a function of creating value, but the only thing that's important to me, because now I'm off grid with all the food, water, energy I need. I don't need money anymore, right? Literally, and I don't even want to leave this place. But our mission is to catalyze a shift that changes the world. It's time.
Wow.
Such a powerful mission. Jim, thanks so much for your time today.
Thank you so much, Jim.
Oh, this was such a great, great time.
If you want to be a corporate escape artist, head on over to howtoescapecorporate.com and sign up for the How to Escape Corporate Without Leaving Your Job course. Learn the exact methods to go from employee to entrepreneur. Turn your corporate existence into a corporate wonderland. It's time to take action. howtoescapecorporate.com. Remember, members get the full-length podcast over at howtoescapecorporate.substack.com. Become a member for $8 a month for the full podcast and members-only articles and videos.